Majority of Ghanaians feel disappointed, betrayed, hopeless, and rejected. Now professionals that can help build this country, which includes doctors and teachers, are running out of the country to seek greener pastures in Europe or North America. Inflation has been unimaginably high, which has hit hard, and even a roasted plantain seller at the corner of Accra Street is feeling the heat. When things get tough, everyone had no option but to point a finger at the man who once promised the people of Ghana he will let manna fall when he climbs to power. And this time around, it was no other person than Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana Akufo has served as the president of Ghana since 2017, and today I'm here to assess the man who was once described as the savior of the Ghana economy. Nana Akufo has been in politics for a very long time, but I will only give a brief history of this honorable man before we continue. Nana Akufo previously served as Attorney General from 2001 to 2003 and as Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2003 to 2007 under the Kufuor-led administration. He first ran for president in 2008 and again in 2012, both times as the candidate of the New Patriotic Party. He lost on both occasions to the National Democratic Congress candidate John Evans Atta Mills in 2008 and John Dramani Mahama in 2012. After the 2012 general election, he refused to concede and proceed to court to challenge the electoral result, but the Supreme Court of Ghana affirmed Mahama's victory. He was chosen again as the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party for a third time for the 2016 general election. And this time around, he defeated the incumbent president, John Dramani Mahama, in the first round, winning with 53.85% of the votes, which marks the first time in a Ghanaian presidential election that an opposition candidate won a majority outright in the first round. It was also the first time that an opposition candidate had unseated an incumbent president. Now let's find out what exactly happened in 2016 that delivered this sounding victory for Nana Akufo during the general election. Since the Fourth Republic in the history of Ghana, elections are most at times won by slogans, not policies. So this has made many political parties too lazy to draft policies that will convince their voters until 2016, when Nana Akufo surprised the incumbent president with a bunch of policies that overwhelmed Ghanaians. Nana introduced his famous political policy, which was the free SHS, one district, one factory, one constituency, $1 million, and many more. These policies was well accepted by Ghanaians, but the most trusted policy that was not mentioned in all this, but Ghanaians trusted Nana Akufo to implement, was an anti-corruption policy that will allow the government to lock every corrupt member of the Mahama government who has ever been involved with misappropriation of public funds. This was expected from Ghanaians because the NPP in opposition accused Mahama and its government of several corrupt deals that needed to be looked at when the NPP comes to power. These accusations was dear to many Ghanaians, so voting for a man who was once the Attorney General and also a lawyer was the nail right in the coffin. Nana Akufo did not disappoint. He went straight ahead to nominate his cabinet ministers, and surprisingly, the man who has been very hard on the previous government for wasting taxpayers' money on unnecessary spending went ahead to nominate 110 ministers, beating his predecessor John Dramani Mahama by 26 appointees. Mr. Mahama had only 84 ministers. Ghanaians became furious and started asking questions because they find the number of appointees outrageous and unnecessary. The interesting thing is that Nana Akufo was the first head of state in the Fourth Republic to have more than 100 ministers serve in his government. Even though people couldn't understand the reason behind that huge number of appointees, Nana issued a landmark speech that calmed Ghanaians down and decided to give him a chance to experiment with his new strategy and see the outcome. Let's watch this video.
I've said it and I'll repeat it again. Those who are coming to this administration thinking that it's an avenue for making a lot of money are going to be disappointed. They better go to the private sector. That is where people make money, not in government.
This particular speech resonated well with Ghanaians and boosted the confidence they have in Nana Akufo-Addo. To top everything up, he also set up an office for special prosecutor and nominated one of the known citizen vigilantes, who is also well known for fighting corrupt officials on his own, even though he didn't have power. This man is no other person than Martin Amidu. Do you know what makes this interesting? Martin Amidu was part of the previous government and served as Attorney General and Minister of Justice from 2011 to 2012. As of now, we don't know what exactly happened, but from nowhere, he started going after his own party members and accusing them of being corrupt. He became a thorn in the flesh of the Mahama administration, and somehow along the line, he was sacked from the party. So Ghanaians felt comfortable and satisfied when he was appointed as special prosecutor because we all thought it was a revenge time, which may lead to witch hunting corrupt official from the previous government. Nana showed working immediately he climbed on the presidential seat, and he was nicknamed Nana Showboy. He started implementing some of his policies, and one policy that everyone doubted he could implement within his first term was the free SHS policy, which many expected would weigh on his government budget and cripple the economy. Nana ignored the naysayers and went ahead and implemented the policy, even though it was a little sloppy from the beginning. He assured Ghanaians that things will improve as the initiative grew. The Nana Akufo-Addo government was also able to manage the Ghana electricity problems that we were facing during the Mahama administration, even though Mahama still claimed that he solved the electricity situation before handing over the country to Nana Akufo-Addo. I still give Nana Akufo-Addo credit though, because if the government were not good managers of the electricity situation, things should have gotten worse again. If I can remember perfectly, the electricity only became stable within 3 months to the general election in 2016, and many Ghanaians suspected it was stable because the election was approaching. Now let's dive deep into how things started falling apart. In December 2017, a few months after Nana Akufo-Addo became president, he was hit by accusations of charging a ridiculous amount of money before securing a seat at a round table with the president and exclusive access to him. All these accusations were denied by the trade minister, but the president launched an investigation into all these accusations and they later cleared them of any wrongdoing. So Ghanaians started asking questions because Nana Akufo-Addo has promised Ghanaians corruption-free governance. That incident started creating doubt in the minds of Ghanaians, so they started doubting if, in fact, Nana Akufo-Addo is the man to fight corruption for Ghanaians. After all this happening, it didn't end there. There were multiple corruption accusations that were swept under the rug or cleared by the president. Things became frustrated to the point where the special prosecutor, who has been appointed by the president to fight corruption, became worried and decided to put down his appointment. The special prosecutor couldn't just leave, but decided to activate violence against the president and his government. He accused the president of being accomplice and partnering with some corrupt appointees to siphon money from the country's coffers. He even ended up calling the president the mother serpent of corruption. Now, a lot has happened. Even though this government has been hit by the unexpected COVID-19 situation and the Russian war, which has caused inflation across the world, I think some mismanagement and corruption have been part of this government, which has led them to join the IMF program. If someone who promised Ghanaians not to ever send Ghana back to the IMF after fighting tooth and nail to remove Ghana from the program find its way back, then there is something wrong somewhere. To my observation, all this event that has happened in this government boils down to nepotism and showing over loyalty to colleagues who aren't meant well for you. This government problem started when the president decided to appoint 110 ministers to manage a small country like Ghana. Someone will ask, why did the president take that decision? The answer is loyalty. Don't get me wrong and listen to me when I say loyalty. Political parties like the New Patriotic Party normally seek funds and support during the election. And one thing that has always been clear is that the party members that are well known to do normally support with huge amount of money in the form of lobbying for appointment or contract if the government comes to power. As you can see, Nana Akufo-Addo contested to lead the New Patriotic Party for several years and later became the main opposition leader after Kufuor regime. So this man has hundreds or thousands of friends that have stood with him during the darker days. So after he became president, he needed to award most of his loyal friends who stood by him through appointment. Those who have followed this government will realize that the president hardly reshuffled his cabinet ministers. Somewhere last year, his own party members of parliament threatened him to sack his finance minister, otherwise they wouldn't back his yearly budget, but still, the president refused to sack him. So to me, I think he did not even evaluate them to know whether they were competent or incompetent before appointing them. I can boldly tell you that majority of his appointees has been poorly performed, but they are still holding on to power. This has always been the problem of African leaders. They have always valued their friends and family relations more than improving their countries. Even though it left him with more than 10 months until the election, I don't think he can do much to turn things around. Let me wait after his tenure to bring you his overall assessment of his performance. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. You can also go to my description box, click on the Telegram link and join us in a Telegram group for us to talk about the well-being of Africa. Thanks for watching.